The Chicago Bears have added yet another wrinkle to the stadium saga drama. That is where we're going to be playing, where we're going to be building, where the shovels are going to go in the ground in the next few years. We got a new update today from the Bears themselves, not from the state of Illinois, not from the city of Chicago or Indiana for that matter. We're gonna break it all down right after this. What is good, y'all? It is Marcus Mixed It, host one of three of the Black Bear Podcast. One word, no spaces, where we talk all things Chicago Bears, football, stadium talk, training camp, OTAs, the draft, everything. And we do it on live stream every Sunday. We start at about 8, maybe 9, depending on what's going on. And then, we do these pop up shows in between time, in the meantime between those Sundays. But if you're new here, if you don't know who I am, if you don't know who my crew is, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. As we on the road to 1K, so make sure you support us. Same way that we support y'all and we support this team. It's no sweat off nobody's back to hit that button. So make sure you hit it for me and that notification bell too, so you can be here every time we upload, whether it's little updates like this or when it's time to do our weekly live, in which we'll be live this upcoming Sunday. So stay tuned for that. But on to the news, we have an update as far as the stadium saga drama. And I say drama because that's what it's been for a very long time up to this point. And as y'all know, this is kind of like the football talk about the Bears that we kind of don't want to talk about right now. We ready for football. I don't know about y'all, but me and my crew, we ready to see them between them white lines. We ready to see pads on. We ready to see helmets going on. We ready to see some clanging and banging pause. Um, but it's time for that season. So of course we don't want to be talking about the football stadium stuff right now. But y'all know I'm a veggies too type of person, so we gotta eat those. It ain't all just dessert. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The Chicago Bears are apparently writing their own legislative bill to present to the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois in an effort to keep them in the state of Illinois. Not just the city of Chicago, but a bill that would help them stay here even after they came out and basically said they're moving forward with their plans in Indiana, which to this point everybody's pretty much debunked that and said they didn't really say anything, which they didn't. So we'll break down what's new here on the show today. Um, but yeah, the Bears are apparently they're writing their own bill that would help them stay in the state of Illinois. What they are trying to do right now is essentially come up with something that would be passed in the state of Illinois in their not their legislative session, but their representatives from both the House and from the Senate, as they were not able to reach a vote at the end of May. So we'll go over a few things. I only got a few slides to go over today, so we're gonna go over those and make this one a little bit quick. But let's get right into it. First thing is from JB Pritzker. He goes on the Chicago Tribune. This is a quote from the Chicago Tribune with Governor JB Pritzker saying they've asked for advice to Chicago Bears, and our staff as well as legislators have offered them that. Speaking to reporters Tuesday in Chicago, JB Pritzker said they're looking at both the bills that passed, the one in the House and the one in the Senate, hoping to put provisions of each of those together in a form that they think will pass. Um, so what is he saying here? The first thing that I got out of this when I read it was something I kind of already knew all along. The Bears, they want to be in the state of Illinois. I keep trying to treat Chicago as a state, but it's not. They want to be in the state of Illinois. If they could have it their way, they want to be in Chicago. They want to be where they've been. They don't want to leave and go to Indiana and all of this stuff. Does that mean that Indiana was always just a leverage play? Not necessarily. Um, I think the Bears were kind of saying like, "You're going to force our hand, but we're making every reasonable effort to continue to work with y'all throughout this period." So, with the Bears putting together their own bill, excuse me, to present to the lawmakers in Illinois, um, it's big news. It's big news because you still got Indiana on the outside in, on the outside looking in, trying to figure out whether or not the Bears are going to be there or not. But the fact of the matter is, unless Indiana pulls out, they're kind of at the beck and call of the Chicago Bears right now, as well as the state of Illinois, because I think even Indiana knows that the Bears, they want to be in Illinois, they want to be in Chicago, but they need to come to an agreement. And if they can't, then they will make the hard decision to leave. Granted that the hard decision to leave isn't as it's not as green as people once thought it was, because Indiana was moving really fast and all of that stuff. And I was just thinking to myself, like, if they can put this together this fast, I don't think they got all their ducks in a row, because it's taken Illinois forever to put together things for this bill. So if Indiana could come and do it in 2 weeks, some red tape is going to show up somewhere. Um, but they're looking at provisions that passed in both the House and the Senate, trying to figure out um, language that works and that will suffice for both parties. Um, that's not going to be easy to do, but their willingness to do it, I think, is a step in the right direction. And then on top of that, essentially what they're trying to get at is they don't want to wait till November, until the next legislative period in Illinois, which I don't think they can wait till November. I don't think it makes sense for them to wait till November. Indiana will more than likely fall off of the table if the idea is to wait till November. And if it doesn't work out in November, you'll be stuck. So, what they're trying to do right now is essentially force a legislative session. Um, as y'all know, the legislative period in Illinois ended on May 31st at midnight, and the Bears' only chance of having an answer before November to this point is for Illinois to call a special session. But lawmakers in Illinois have already come out and said multiple times that the only way a special session is called is if something is in place. So that means they can't call a special session in hopes that they're going to try to figure out a common ground for this deal. They need to basically already be to that point where they can call a special session. People can put their name in wax, put pen to paper, and call it a day. But unless something is basically not done on a handshake agreement prior to that, then it won't happen. And in that case, the chances for the Bears to stay in the state of Illinois as well as stay in Chicago are basically zero. So, this in itself is just an effort to try to push for the special session. But what I am looking forward to on the next update is if the bill that gets put together has any indication of a site. As we know, multiple sites in Illinois have been proposed, and now even multiple sites in Indiana are in the process of being proposed. Um, so we kind of still don't know where. Like, saying Illinois or saying Chicago isn't enough up to this point. We need to know where. Um, they are trying to go, and where I guess the city feels like they can go. Um, so hopefully in this new proposal that they're trying to put together, we get some type of indication, even if it's not just fully worded out, but we get some type of indication as to where they actually are trying to put the shovel in the ground. Um, but along with that, and I'll make my little two quick points, and we'll call it a day on our little update for today. is two sites have popped up in the state of Illinois. One is on the south side of Chicago, one is in the west suburbs of Chicago. So I want to talk about those real quick and then we'll get everybody's thoughts. Um, the first one is in McCook, Illinois. Now, McCook is a very small town. I don't think a lot of people live there. I used to work in McCook for about 5 years. I don't think a lot of people live in the township from, from a I don't know how to say it. Just from the outside looking in, from from a bird's eye view is what I was trying to say. Um, McCook is a lot of industrial, it's a lot of warehouses, a lot of facilities and stuff like that in the area. And the land that is being proposed to the Chicago Bears as a building site is a quarry in McCook. They and it's really actually not far from where I worked. I'm pretty sure somewhere along this road here is where my old job is. I used to hear them blowing up dynamite over there all the time near that quarry. But anyways, yeah, the land itself is about 150 acres. That's about half as small as the land that they own in Arlington Heights. Um, like I said, not a lot of people live in this area, so I'm curious to see what developing the surrounding area would look like because um it's not the same as Chicago, not even close. It's not like if you're from Chicago and you know what Oak Park looks like, what kind of neighborhood Oak Park is, it's not even that. It's probably like half that. So, um again, I'm really interested to see like what the development plan in the surrounding area is going to be. Um I'm not the biggest fan of the site, I guess, for that reason. But what I will say is, this site feels like it's going to solve some of the transportation issues that was presented in some of the other sites that were talked about up to this point. Um, for example, McCook is a small town itself, but it's closer. It's basically neighboring some bigger townships that have that transportation and stuff kind of solved already. For example, McCook is right next to LaGrange, Illinois. LaGrange has basically a metro that runs all the way to downtown, I believe. Multiple links to the Pace bus, and Pace has a ton of links to um city like transportation lines. Like you can take a pace you can I think it's actually two buses that you need to take to get from LaGrange to Forest Park Blue Line, which is the end of the line, and that line goes all the way through the loop. So um you got Cicero, which is probably 15 minutes from McCook, and Cicero has the end of the pink line, which goes all the way to the loop. So they got some options there. Not to mention that you got 55 pretty close. You got the 290 still pretty close. All of these different things, and where it is in terms of distance to Soldier Field and where the Bears currently play is not even an hour. Like I can be in McCook from where I'm sitting right now in like 10 minutes, and I can also be in downtown Chicago in less than 30 minutes. So that being said, as far as transportation goes, it feels like it'll have some of that solved, but with 150 acres, it feels like something is going to be missing. This area to the side where it's future entertainment district and parking. Hold on, let me switch so y'all can see my cursor. Um, this area over here, this ain't gonna be nowhere near enough. That ain't even enough. Like they want to build an 80,000 seat stadium. And then not to mention this, to me, I don't know about y'all, but this looks like an open design, not a dome design. But hey, I don't know nothing about nothing. Either way, this feels like this is going this is going to cover parking and stuff for 80,000 people. I doubt it. I doubt it. it feels like when you're looking at a site that's 150 acres, something that they're gonna want is gonna be missing. And I'm not talking about the numerous hotels and all of that stuff that they're gonna want to build, but are you gonna actually be able to get that entertainment center aspect out of it? I don't know. If y'all believe so, let us know down in the comments so we could talk about it. Um, I'll go to the next site and we can wrap this up. The next site is the Southwork site in Chicago. This is on the south side of the city, like by 87th and some shit. I don't know. Um, West side the best side. That's all I'm gonna say. Either way, Representative Curtis Tarver spoke about it on WGN News. Spoke about the Southwark site. There's enough land there. There's more land there than there is in Arlington Heights, which is true. I think Arlington Heights is 326 acres. This whole land is about 440 acres, but all 440 isn't for the Bears. There's other development and stuff going on at the Southwark site. So take that with a grain of salt because unless there's an actual proposal for a site, then we don't actually know how much of that 440 whatever is going to be for the Bears. Um, Tarver said the reality is Hammond suffices, and if it's just across the border, why would we not look in the area where the city of Chicago residents can actually benefit? Which is something that a lot of legislators to this point have kind of been harping on with what Curtis Tarver is saying. The thing is, though, is this kind of does solve that market issue for the Bears because you on the south side of the city, but you in the city, and most people ain't gonna like people from the west side don't really like to travel to the south side. But if the Bears were to move somewhere in this area, then I don't think people would be mad about it whatsoever. Um, but again, to me, it kind of depends on the space. It depends on the space and it depends on the deal. Um, with the Southwork site, which used to be a steel mill out in the south side of Chicago. With the Southwork site, the thing about this site is there's no actual proposal put in place. It's just been a lot of chatter, a lot of, well, what if we put this on the table, et cetera, et cetera. McCook, they've been doing stuff a little bit different. McCook, the mayor of McCook, as well as the owner of the quarry, which is, I believe, Vulcan Mining Company, they hand delivered their proposal to Hallis Hall with George McCaskey and Kevin Warren. Now, I don't know if there was like an actual meeting or anything like that, so to speak, but oh wait, this is a dome stadium. I wasn't paying attention. I don't. We'll see. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked and stuff. The mayor and the owner of the property delivered their proposal directly to Hallis Hall, and as part of their proposal, um, I think they would sell the land or whatever to the Bears around 150 something $1 million, but it would not be owned by the Bears. It would be owned by the people yet again, but it would be leased to the Bears for $1. So this is essentially bypassing that tax situation. Um, so it kind of feels like it's a lot of up and up for the Bears, minus the space, minus the surrounding area and the revenue that would come from that. Plus, what are you going to do at Arlington Heights after you're going to spend another 150 million? So, um, those are the two new sites that are being proposed, that are being thrown in here. Um, what do y'all think about the sites? I personally think, um, I think the Southwork site probably would be a little bit better. Um, but I wouldn't be mad at being 15 minutes from the stadium either. Now, what that's going to do to the traffic around my house, I don't know. I'm not excited to find out in particular, but that's neither here nor there. Let us know though in the comments. What do y'all think? Where do y'all think they should move? Are y'all ready for this part of the conversation to be over with the Chicago Bears and where they're going to be? Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because we will be live this upcoming Sunday at around 8 or 9. and we got to talk about a lot more stuff, including what's going on in training camp, these training camp battles and stuff like that. Because we didn't really get too deep into that. We started a debate on the last show, so we got some digging to do as the Bears are on summer break right now, but we not on summer break. So let us know what y'all thoughts are in the comments down below, and make sure y'all gonna be here on Sunday. All right, we gonna get out of here. Peace.